Hey, welcome to Queenship, where we speak to women who are only beautiful on the inside and out, walking with you on your transformative journey to your highest purpose. And good day, ladies. So, I wanted to come on here today and just talk. I feel like there's so much to disclose. And like I've said before, you know, I've been quiet for years. And I choose now to speak about it, to speak on my relationship, because I'm finally getting to meet my man. You know, some people, I've heard that it's a red flag that if a woman says she's in a long distance relationship. It is what it is. We live in an age of social media where we are no longer limited to people who are in close proximity of us. We are now exposed to people who are across the world. We are exposed to people who live all across the world. So I may meet somebody who lives in Africa or speak to somebody who lives in Australia and or find somebody that I have a lot in common with, because the algorithm is always going to align you with someone that matches the content that you're most interested in. It's mostly the algorithm. The algorithm puts in work to align you with content to keep you on that platform. So you might have a lot of people these days talking about, oh, I met my husband or I met my wife on social media, because it's the algorithm. That's how the algorithm works. It aligns you with like-minded people. And like I said, I came across him when I was 23. When I stopped looking for a person, I stopped looking. I was like, you know what? I'm fed up. I'm done. That's when I found him. I found him when I decided to go celibate. Before I met him, I stopped drinking, stopped smoking, decided to go celibate, and became more devoted to my religion. I was born Muslim, but I was very rebellious and I rejected my religion because I didn't choose it. I wanted to choose a religion that I agreed with. And I didn't like fasting, I thought it was torture. So fasting really had me question my religion and question why we chose Islam and not Christianity and all this type of stuff. But when I got older and I had, I do a little surface level. There's a difference between specialists and regular people who can't just look on the surface and all this type of stuff. I looked into spirituality, Hinduism, Buddhism, Christianity. But Islam was the one that made the most sense to me. And I'm still new to all religions because it took me some time. I was more so like interested in the third eye and crown chakra and all that type of stuff, opening up my third eye. And then later on, I got put on Kundalini and opening up your heart chakras, opening up all your chakras instead of just the third eye. I was hyper focused on opening up the third eye chakra. And later on, I discovered that your chakra clusters, your melanin clusters, your chakra systems, they are connected to your bodily functions. And it's interesting how the spiritual realm and the physical realm has this symbiotic relationship. It's all cohesive. It's all connected. And then aligning spirituality with religion and all that type of stuff. It, it took me a while to get to the point where I became more devoted and wanted to build a relationship with God. It was like I kept coming to a dead end, and I kept coming to these obstacles and spiraling out of control and not seeing how and thinking that I didn't have any control over my life. Like I couldn't say no. I felt guilty for saying no to people because how would they feel if I say no? But how would I feel if I say yes to something that doesn't serve me in any type of way, shape, or form? I I was in a point in my life years ago where I had given up I had given up a lot of myself. I gave up so much of myself that I became nothing to myself, and I didn't even recognize the person in the mirror. And I found it interesting that I became nothing. I became a loser basically because I didn't want to try because some people, when you try too hard, it's like, oh, you do too much. Who does she think she is? She's just looking for attention, and you become like the butt of the joke, or you become a laughing stock, or people, you know how it is. The pests don't come around until the flowers start to bloom, and I kept chopping my I were resorted into chopping myself down. I didn't want to try to be great. I inadvertently settled for mediocrity because I didn't want the attention to be on me. I started to dress down in a way where I don't get that much attention. I don't get male attention. And I resorted into being nothing so I don't get unwanted female attention or just talked about. But, in retrospect, that didn't work. I still got male attention. I still got unwanted female attention. I still had chicks jealous of me. I still had chicks trying to get at my man or trying to get sloppy seconds because they think if they get what I had, that makes them equal to me or whatever twisted ideology that they have as to why they would try and make me jealous just by hugging somebody that I was with, not even in a relationship, in a one time thing, playtime. That was a play thing. It wasn't even, So if you got them, it wouldn't have been that serious. Watching my movements, talking about me, always having my name in the mouth. I became nothing, but I was still the topic of conversation. I dimmed my own light, but I was still being pedestalized. So I had an epiphany. And this is why I ended up going to therapy for 17. I got sexually assaulted. It just got out of hand. I understand what he thought went down, and he ended up calling me out of my name. And that, in retrospect, that's a lot for a teenage girl to go through. And because it happened during an expedition, the new director thought it was the organization's responsibility to rectify the trauma that had been caused from that situation. So they put together a care package, and therapy was one of those things that was a part of the care package. So I went to therapy, and therapy allows you to unravel a lot of confusion and whatnot. And one day I had an epiphany about my inferiority complex. And it was like, why would I lower myself in order to meet somebody where they're at? When people try and bring you down to the level, they already believe or they already see you as above them. I didn't pedestalize myself. I didn't put my if you already think that I'm above you, then why would I lower myself to meet you where you're at? It's interesting how the people who are lost, these lost souls, try to tell people where their place is when they don't even know where theirs is. Find your place first. Know where you stand with me. When I recognized who I am, was raised, I started to move different. I had to readjust my self concept. I ended up raising my price after I left my man, my current man, because he is everything that I wanted in a man. And I decided to walk away because nobody, I don't care who you are, is gonna put me in a situation where I look down on myself, where I don't feel like I'm being valued, where I'm not being appreciated, where I'm losing self-respect and self-dignity because I'm in this situation. My price went up. If a man like this could love me and fight for me, if I was to walk away, then I'm gonna need to be with somebody, I'm gonna need to settle for somebody who's as good as him or better, and not financially, because technically that doesn't matter. But personality wise, character, morals, his belief system. Does he respect women? Is he single? But like I've said before, I kept going back. I would walk away, and I would be being serious. I would be serious when I say I'm leaving. I'm not doing this no more. But some time will go by, and I would start getting sick, or I don't. A good reference is that scene in Twilight where Edwards, he ended up leaving because he couldn't bear be around Ella anymore, because his feelings for her were too strong, so he had to leave. And it was basically killing they were basically killing one another just by being apart. And she was willing to do anything to be with him. I think he was like, I can't live without you. And she was like, well, don't. Why are you trying to live without me? It's killing me on the inside, that war apart. So what use is it being apart if it hurts both of us? You're not helping me more than you are hurting me. Yeah, Bella and Edwards, and Jacob. I don't know if I have anybody in my life that's a Jacob. He's literally just a friend. There's no need to worry about them. They're not on my radar. We've just been cool since before we met. So, and I've never been interested in them. Not like that. They're just a friend. I love them like a brother. Let me see if I can find no, I'm gonna leave it for now. Maybe later I will find this song Damage Control. So because of how the situation is set up, I feel the need, and I've been being called to do these lives, and I'm gotta be obedient. If I'm anything in life, it has to be obedient. I've been being called to do these lives, and it's important for me to put these out because this is what I consider damage control. I believe that people would get curious and do the homework maybe. And when you decide to, these videos will be here for you. You know, I live by a if you know, you know, if you don't, you're not meant to philosophy. And right now, I'm ahead of time. But once you listen to this video, you'd be on time. I can't be current because if I'm current, I'll be too late. How the situation is set up is that the person trying to draw a wedge in between this relationship, trying to be a problem in this relationship, for whatever reason, um, every time I have a dream or an inkling, it's never love. It's always like selfish reasons, like reputation or what benefits come with being a problem or being in that being not even being in the relationship, because if the person doesn't want to be with you, they're gonna find a way to position you out of their life. But even being seen as a person who's in that relationship, even if they're not in the relationship, there's benefits that come along with it. Some people give you respect by association because you're associated with this person. We deem you as respectable because why would this person be around you if you're not worth respecting? Or, you know, they get praise, even if the praise is undeserved, it's praise by association. Or if they get opportunities because, oh, you're attached to this name over here, so it only makes sense to push you forward, or whatever the case may be. Either clout, attention, reputation, image, whatever the case, whatever it may be. I had a dream once that they were literally trying to push um, a relationship with this person for a bag. Now, in this day and age, a bag could be for money, or it can literally be like a Birkin or like an actual bag. And I'm like, all of that, you did all of that. You went on the radio, you pushed a false narrative just for a bag, just for a free bag. And I'm not sure the extent that they would go in order to either nurture the false narrative or try and sabotage the relationship. I'm not sure how far they would go, so I have to leave these in advance for damage control, for the purpose of damage control. And they're reactive, so they're gonna wait when it's current to act and respond. Pardon me.